I'm not going to lie, guys. I was so disgusted with the loss yesterday that I couldn't even find joy in the fact that the freaking Bucs beat the stinking Cowboys. I couldn't even find the joy when Steven Gostkowski's 54-yard field goal snuck inside the left upright. And Mr. Austin, it's fitting that your first name is Miles because I want you miles away from my football team. Jeremy Burton is here. I'm Adrian Fedque. Just a despicable, disgusting 20-19 loss to the Miami Dolphins yesterday. We just lost a game to Dan Campbell. How do you feel about that, Jeremy?
I'm so disgusted in so many ways. This game hit me harder than any other loss this year just because it's the freaking Dolphins. Their interim coach is like 35 years old, and he just got done playing in the NFL a few years ago. Chip Kelly has completely just pissed me off beyond belief for too many games this year. He's too inconsistent. His decision making, his play calling, like I feel like I could be out there and do a better job. It's just he can't finish a game. He just seems outmatched, and I just think we are a flawed football team. The only saving grace is that we do have a solid defense, but Chip Kelly is supposed to be his offensive mind, and I'm seeing nothing. You scored 19 points and you ran 88 plays against the Dolphins. You got less than 90 rushing yards against a team with the worst rushing defense in the league. You don't run around the outside, which is their weakness. You run right into their best player, Ndamukong Suh, in the middle. You got off to a hot start, and you went away from what was working to get us to that hot start. It doesn't make any sense. It boggles my mind. And Chip is just, everybody hates him now. Everyone wants him out of town, I'm sure.
I love Chip, though. I still love him.
I'm tired of his press conferences. I'm tired of his little snarky remarks. I'm tired of him just being an ass. He took our team and put all these guys in that he wanted. All right, they're his guys. He wanted them all here. Do something about it. It hasn't worked. We're 4-5. We look like shit. Our only saving grace is that our defense, our division is just awful. So we're only half a game out. It's pathetic. We could be tied for first place next week if we beat the Bucs, which I don't even think is a sure thing anymore, the way we've been playing.
Well, nothing's a sure thing. That's definitely true. We got to take it week to week. There are no gimmies on the schedule. When you're looking down that schedule, don't use a pen. You got to use a number 2 pencil because you got to erase some things. So I'm sure 99% of us thought we were going to beat the Dolphins yesterday. It didn't happen, did it? So I've been kind of like a little different than the rest of Philadelphia. I'm still remaining a little bit optimistic, but I'll get to that a little bit later because this game was just an abomination. I mean, the most disappointing thing yesterday to me was the play of our offensive line and our not so special teams. All of a sudden, last year we by far had the best special teams unit in the league, and now we're like back to being in the middle of the pack. We had some holding penalties on some returns. John Dornbos is just not snapping the ball correctly right now, and going to that offensive line, man. I mean, oh boy, the last 6 games I saw a lot of improvements, and just yesterday it was back to the Dallas game with the O-line, man. I mean, Jason Kelce just getting eaten alive, literally, by Ndamukong Suh. He ate him. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, everything. Dessert. He put some whipped cream on that, those nipples, and he ate it all. Matt Tobin was atrocious. Dennis Kelly was atrocious. Lane Johnson wasn't good. Alan Barbary wasn't good. They all stunk. And, we finally wanted to get off to a good start, right? We did. We did. And it just, here's my problem yesterday, because you said this, with we got away from the stuff that was working. Because I wrote this down. For whatever reason, I went back and I watched the game today, I have this note here. Okay, so one of the things that we've seen from Sam Bradford the last couple weeks, he's pretty adept at throwing on the move, and the play action bootlegs have been working, for him. So Chip calls 4 play action bootlegs in the first 16 minutes of the game. Bradford, 3 of 4 for 80 yards. Now, he gets hurt midway through the third quarter. Chip only calls 1 more play-action bootleg, which just boggles my mind because this play was working to perfection. The crossing routes, these guys were running free, and he kind of went away from it. And he went away from a lot of things. And, yeah, I'll just turn it back to you now because I've been kind of ranting and talking for a couple minutes.
Well, I don't even know where to start. The O-line is a big disappointment. I mean, we thought they were like cohesive last week. We're like, oh, they played so good. Oh, Dennis Kelly, we plugged him right back in. Lane Johnson was hurt. He did fine. He looked like the third string offensive lineman that he really is. We didn't block the middle. Jason Kelsey, I felt like I could have done a better job out there. I mean, we didn't protect Bradford. And actually, I was impressed by how well Sam Bradford played prior to his injury, and all the pressure he was getting. And the Dolphins didn't even have one of their better pass rushers. Cameron Wake's out for the year, and they still got pressure on Bradford. I think sacked him at least 4 times. And regardless of all of that, he played well. And but unfortunately, he's fragile. Sammy went down, so sprained AC joint, concussion. He's looking at least being out the next 2 games because we played 2 games in the next 10 days. So next up is Marky Mark. So we know what he is. He'll throw an interception for every touchdown he throws. This all comes back to Chip Kelly and the decisions he made, especially when we're down by 1 point, 4.5 minutes left in the game. We're inside the 10-yard line. It's second down. We ran the ball on first down, didn't get much, but run it again. Just why would you put that pressure? And you know who Sanchez is. He makes these mistakes. And you let him roll out to the left and throw across his body to Miles Austin, who shouldn't even be on the team. We pay this guy $2.3 million, and he's a 10-year vet. He had 1 crossing route. He didn't even look for the ball. He had a beautiful pass by Sam, dropping his breadbasket, didn't catch it, and didn't drag his toe on the 1 long touchdown would-be pass. So I don't know. I'll go back to you. Just go.
Oh man, yeah. The mind-boggling thing for me was Miami's defense. Their 31st ranked run defense, 26 in yards per carry allowed, and they're very, very susceptible along the boundaries. And we didn't run a lot of stuff along the boundaries. We ran 2 sweep plays. That was it. 2 of them. We ran 5 outside zone plays, something that was working very, very well last week. We didn't do it. We kept running up the middle, which is just why.
Right into Ndamukong Suh.
Ndamukong Suh is the best defensive tackle in the entire league, and you're running at him like seemingly every play. It just, wow. And Kelsey's getting pushed back. He's getting eaten alive. It's just
it comes back to the chipper and Chip Kelly's game plans. He's a smart guy. I know he's a smart guy. I just don't understand how you continually make these mistakes. Don't game plan again. You want to game plan against the other team's weaknesses. So exactly what you just said. We didn't attack their weaknesses. We attacked their strengths and weren't successful. Like we wouldn't be successful against running right into their best player. And especially with our your offensive line being outmatched all game. You've seen that, so change it up. He's shown before he was able to adapt, like after halftime, and he's been able to make adjustments. So how do you not make that adjustment? I just don't get it. Another thing is, our running game didn't do well, and we don't have the receiving core to have as good of an offense as we did, say, year one with Chip, where we had Deshaun and Macklin. So I think a lot of this comes down to Chip Kelly, the GM, and how he brought who he wanted in, and he thought we were okay with Riley Cooper and Miles Austin and Jordan Matthews in the middle, but we need outside receivers. We need guys who can stretch the field. And let me tell you something. Riley Cooper is getting paid $4.8 million this year, and he hasn't caught a ball since October 19th. That's about almost a month ago, okay? So tell me what he's doing right. Oh, Chip says, he's a good blocker. Well, he didn't do shit yesterday. Didn't help the cause. Our tight ends played great, but we just hit them in the beginning. Again, didn't really use them much later in the game. So why don't you just keep doing what was working? Just so many questionable calls by Chip Kelly, and ultimately I think this all is on him. The way he evaluates talent, who he wanted to bring on the team, he's so stubborn. He thinks his scheme, anybody can work with it. Apparently not. And I think this is a very, very mediocre football team, and it's sad to say because it's our team, and I just don't – yeah, it would be great if we make the playoffs. I would love it, but it's just we're just setting ourselves up for disappointment. I mean, I don't see more than 8 wins down the stretch.
Yeah, I will. We'll get back to that point in a little bit because I feel a little bit more optimistic, but we'll get back to that because right now I want to talk about Marky Mark and how he was off the Marky Mark, and that. The interception, we knew it was coming. I mean, everyone knew it was coming. That's what Marky Mark's known for. The interceptions, the turnovers at the most inopportune of times, that is the epitome of Mark Sanchez. And for whatever reason, Philadelphia was cheering when Sam Bradford got hurt. They wanted Marky Mark in there for whatever reason. I have no idea why. And, yeah, he came up small. I mean I don't know. He's terrible. He's just awful. And we got to rely on him the next 2 weeks. Luckily, we play Tampa Bay and Detroit. But, yeah, what were your thoughts on Sanchez?
He is what he is, man. I mean, you're right. He's gonna. I don't know if he did like a line of cocaine before he went in or what, but he always seems to be so wired, like too jittery. Like I don't know, like calm down.
I think he goes through like 15 Pez dispensers before every game.
I mean, sometimes, you know what? Sometimes it can be a good thing, bring that little spunk in there and be fired up. I think he's more mobile than Bradford. Obviously, he's not coming off 2 ACL injuries like Bradford is, so, common sense says he's a little more mobile. But, I mean, he's gonna drive you down the field, get you down the field in between the 20s. He'll get you down to the red zone. You'll be all excited. And what's he do? Exactly what he did yesterday. And he'll throw that interception. And, I mean, honestly, that's Chip's play call. I hated the play call. I say, like I said before, you should have ran the ball there and then throw it on third down. You're only down by 1 in that situation. You can settle for a field goal and put the game in the defense's hands. And, the defense played relatively well. We, if you don't count the blocked punt and them getting the ball to the 12-yard line, we held them to 13 points otherwise. And then there was that fluke of a catch off of Connor Barwin's helmet that just dropped it, 2 or 3 Eagles defenders around Jarvis Landry, and that took the lead for the Dolphins. That was just pathetic. But Sanchez, man, he's gonna come in. That's why he's a backup quarterback. He is a backup. So he's not going to light the world on fire. He's going to come in. He's going to manage the game. We're playing 2 mediocre teams next 2 weeks, but then again, we're mediocre also. So I don't really know what to expect. I'm going to try and go in with no expectations because honestly, I'm just tired and sick and tired of getting upset and pissed off and emotional about this team because they're still making their millions. And Chip Kelly, I listened to him in this press conference. He doesn't even seem to care. Like I feel like I care about the team more than Chip, and he's sitting there making $7 million a year, just standing on the sideline, just barking whatever gibberish into the microphone. And he's just, I don't want to see his face for a while.
Oh, you're making me laugh today, man. You're on a roll. You're on a roll. You know what Marky Mark, you know what he is. He's the hot girl at the bar, right? You buy a bunch of drinks for her, and then at the end of the night, she's leaving with another guy. Marky Mark is a tease, like you said. He'll get between the 20s. He'll drive you down the field, and then he's gonna throw that interception, just like the girls. She'll leave you. You'll spend like $30 on her, and then she's with another guy. That's what he's teased.
Oh, he's a big time tease.
Yep.
So luckily, like we said, I mean, we should. I can't even say that we should anymore because I say we should score a lot of points on Tampa and Detroit, but we haven't scored a lot of points this year. It's crazy how progressively worse each year. The first year in the league, Chip Kelly, took the league by storm with his offense, and we scored. We averaged I think over 28 points a game, top 5 in the league. And obviously, we have more talent on offense in that first year. Obviously, wide receivers Deshaun and Jeremy Maclin just for starters. But every year, Chip's gotten worse with total points, points average per game. And this year is by far the worst. I'm seeing so many games where we're scoring less than 20 points. And I made this point in pre-show that last year we finished 10-6. But we had, I believe, 8 special teams and defensive touchdowns. So that 10-6 record last year kind of had a little asterisk next to it. And possibly 2 of those games we should have lost. They end up being close games where we got a defensive special teams touchdown. So maybe we were more like an 8-8 team last year. Regardless, we didn't make the playoffs. And we haven't had nearly as many special teams touchdowns and defensive touchdowns this year. And we're looking more like an 8-8 team. So maybe that's what Chip is. What do you think?
Well, I know you just joined the Bitterbirds this year. You weren't on the show last year, and that's kind of the point we were making. The special teams kept yelling about it. A lot of defensive scores, a lot of all that stuff. The first year though, they also had Nick Foles throw 27 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. So you're just never going to see that again. And for this year, I expected a drop off on the offensive side because, they went off and spent a lot of money on defense this offseason. And, I know a lot of people are talking about Chip the GM and all that stuff. For me, I don't see as big of problems as other people do in terms of this, because I think the problem this year is our offensive line. And if you do want to blame Chip for that, you can, in terms of the fact that the last 2 years you got to draft a lineman. But in terms of all the offseason moves he made with Bradford and Murray and all that stuff, I don't see that as a big of a deal as a lot of other people do, because we as as a society, at least when we watch football, we look at the offensive side of the ball, and we don't really look at the defensive side of the ball as much. And it's almost like we're not seeing how good this defense is this year. And that's why I am a little bit more optimistic than some other people, because I think our defense can carry us. Our offense obviously has to get better. The offensive line has to get better. But I think we can win 9 games. I think we can. We're not going to go anywhere in the playoffs, but I think we can get to 9-7. And I know Mike's not on the show, but he kind of feels the same way as I do. We had a long talk last night. We talked for about 30, 45 minutes, and we kind of felt like that. A lot of people feel like we're a mediocre team. Obviously, you're not feeling it right now. We'll see. But we'll see. That's all I got to say.
I just looking at the schedule, man, and the way how inconsistent we've been. You're talking to go 9-7. You got to win 5 out of the next 7 games. You're talking a 5-2 record. Could we make the run? Sure. I mean, maybe, probably not. But not the, you can't be doing what you did. You can't be doing what you did yesterday, obviously, and just even in our wins, a couple of our close wins, like they've been ugly wins. We've had ugly wins. We've been bailed out in wins. I think now we'll never know. Can't change the past and what happened, but that Jordan Hicks pick six against Dallas was a huge game changer. It gave us the lead, and and we ended up being a close game. What if that didn't happen? We might not won that game. I mean, who knows? We'll never know. But I'm not seeing Chip put together a stretch of games where he has won the coaching battle. So I just don't see him winning 5 out of the next 7. I just, unless literally the next 2 weeks he really just blows up and just destroys these teams and shows that he can dominate and outcoach somebody and make better decisions. I'd have to see that. Right now, I'm not seeing it. I see, be lucky to go 4-3 and in the next 7 games, and that'll put us at 8-8. And I see us and the Giants maybe both being 7-8 into that last game, and the winner will win the division at 8-8. That's what I'm seeing at this point. I would love for that not to happen. I would love to win 10 games, 9 or 10 games, sure, but that'd be great. I just don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, but again, it's we're not looking at the defense enough. This defense is outstanding. It's not like I don't think we're that far away in terms of fixing things. Yesterday, the problem was holding penalties and just the offensive line. And the last 6 weeks, I saw major improvements in the offensive line. And it's not a coincidence that we're successful when our offensive line plays well. Last 6 weeks, we went 4-2. We had 150 yards rushing in each game. And we played a lot better, but last night or yesterday it was the same shit as the first 2 weeks. That's the way our offensive line played yesterday. But the last time I felt like this was 2008. Everybody thought I was crazy when I said the Eagles were going to make the playoffs after we got trounced by Baltimore. We had that tie against Cincinnati. And then we lost to Baltimore. We were 5-5-1. We finished the year 9-6-1. Obviously, got to the championship game that year. Now, this team is not as good as that team because that team had a really, really good defense, and the offense was a little bit better. But I am seeing things that can be fixed. It's not like these things can't be fixed. That's me. I think we're getting better offensively. We just gotta. The offensive line just simply needs to play better. And if they do, I think we can go 9-7. If they don't, then they're going to go 8-8, like you said. That's kind of the way I feel.
Yeah, I mean, we've had stretches, where we obviously look good, and stretches where we look horrible. And the offensive line is huge. I always say you win a game in the trenches. You got to win the battle at the line of scrimmage. Running the ball is key to winning. And obviously we didn't run for even a combined 100 yards yesterday. I think it was 83 or 86 total rushing yards. And that's not going to get it done. Especially what the most disappointing is it was against one of the worst run defenses in the league. And so obviously you're not going to win games that way. I brought up the point. I have a point about Riley Cooper. Actually, he did do something yesterday. You know what he did?
Say that. Yeah.
You know what he did is he denied Zach Ertz his beautiful touchdown catch with his illegal shift, or he wasn't set. He didn't get set at the line of scrimmage. So that's what he did. He can't catch a ball in a month, and he gives up and he stops us from getting a touchdown. So there's Riley Cooper's contributions. $5 million. Collect your paycheck, punk. Enjoy your haircut. It's just It's just we have abysmal talent at the wide receiver position. Jordan Matthews can't do it all. He's not a stretch the field kind of guy. I got to see Aguilar out there more. I don't think he's 100% back from his high ankle sprain. Chip has to right this ship, and if he doesn't, then people are going to want his head on the guillotine like Game of Thrones.
Yeah. I like that line. I've heard it somewhere. Yeah, but I got these notes down. Every possession in the second half, we shot ourselves in the foot. We had holding penalties. We had 3 of them. So yesterday we moved the ball. What did we have? 436 total yards or something, whatever it was.
Yeah, it was over 400.
Yeah, so we moved the ball. It's just we fucking the holding penalty. So when you have a holding penalty, it's a drive killer. It's almost like a turnover because you go from 1st and 10 to 1st and 20. You're just not going to get a first down. So we had 3 holding penalties. We had a block in the back. We had the Riley Cooper illegal shift. We had the Miles Austin drop where the perfect throw by Bradford, threw it right into the bucket. He dropped it. You had the non-toe tap. And speaking of the non-toe tap, my thoughts on that is this: if Sanchez gets rid of the ball a little split second sooner, he wouldn't have had the toe tap. It would have been an easy touchdown. So, 75% of the blame is on Austin, 25% is on Sanchez. So, yeah, man. And then, I will say this: I hated that final drive because you have a 4th and 10. And
you throw it 5 yards.
You throw it 5.
You throw it 5 yards. The game's on the line. You need 10 yards. Oh, let's throw it 5. Okay. Yeah, Chip, that works. Idiot.
You dope.
Nitwit. Oh, man. Dude. Miles Austin, he shouldn't have made the team. Rasheed Bailey, anybody should have made the team in preseason. I liked Rasheed Bailey. He was catching every ball that went at him in the preseason. Hopefully Aguilar can make an impact. I mean, it's a lot to ask for a rookie, but we something's got to give here. We need some consistency, and if I don't see it against teams like the Bucks and the Lions, then the season's over.
Yeah,
and it's gonna be over quick.
But again, we're talking about offense and just completely not showing any love to the defense. And our defense is good. It's really, really good. And it's, it's the main reason why I'm optimistic because your offense doesn't have to score a lot of points if your defense is playing really, really well. And, you mentioned the ugly wins that we've had. Well, when you have a good defense, you're going to win ugly. And that's kind of how you win.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you got to be optimistic about the defense, sure, but I mean, they still, there's a couple plays, couple key third downs. Jarvis Landry's their slot guy, and they attacked the likes of E.J. Biggers, and there was a couple plays where Biggers got completely beat. I remember one third down specifically. It was an easy little slant.
Biggers
played horrible. Yep. Didn't see much out of that. No, Maxwell made a couple nice plays. I saw.
Our defense played really well yesterday. They technically gave up 20 points, but you had the bullshit to Landry. You had
the blocked punt that gave him the ball at the 12.
Yeah. So they only really gave up 13 points. So Miami's offensive line was manhandled for pretty much most of the game. Fletcher Cox was unbelievable again. Benny Logan was unbelievable again. The only thing Maxwell did was who had the slant and broke away from him before the Landry touchdown?
Rashard Matthews.
Yeah,
that was huge. That was like 45 yards. Yeah, he didn't tackle him.
Yeah.
He just ran by him.
Maxwell tackles like Asante Samuel.
Oh, God. I can tackle better. You can tackle better.
I can't tackle better. No way.
All right, I could.
You could. You have muscles on top of muscles. I wouldn't be able to hold them.
Yeah, I'll take him down. No problem.
This
Take
isn't
him
the
down
time
like,
where you got to bust out the muscles, though. I know you like. I know you like to get it in every show. You like to get a flex in.
oh boy. I'll take him down like Miss Home on Ronda Rousey. She got taken down.
She got kicked in the face.
Oh, you see that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's what happens when you talk a lot of shit, Rhonda.
Yep.
Get your ass beat.
She did.
Yes, she did.
She got owned.
Yes, she did. Oh man. Let's see. So, man, it's a shame because we did just storm out of the gates. Obviously, our offense. We've only had 10 points in the first quarter all year, and we had 16 in the first quarter yesterday. I love the play calling to start out, man. I'm not gonna lie. You got away from the swing pass. You didn't really call the swing pass. You had, they were calling a lot of bootlegs early, and the tight ends were just running free down the field. And I love that early on, and then we just kind of got away from it, like we talked about earlier in the show.
Yeah, honestly, when that first quarter and we were up 16-3, I was like, oh man, this is actually going to be a stress-free, nice game. I thought we would win like 30-10 or something, like maybe even more than that. I was like, we're going to score a lot of points. I even said, we'll score like 30-something points easily. And then, we get 3 points the entire rest of the game and a missed field goal. It's uncalled for against a team. After that safety and then we got the other touchdown. It was just the Dolphins looked like they didn't want to win. They looked like they were ready to chalk up the game and just go back down to South Beach and catch some sun rays. But we just like you said, continue to shoot ourselves in the foot, and we just mistake after mistake, bad decision after bad decision by Chip, I think, and we just let them back in the game, and obviously now we're sitting here today all disappointed, and the rest of the season looks grim to me. I'm not excited at all.
You don't think it's a possible overreaction to a loss? I know I asked you this yesterday, but just
would I be acting different if we won? If we won, it would have been the sloppiest win ever, and I would still be pissed about how we played. But obviously, I'd be happy with the win. So, am I overreacting? Maybe a little, but I still think it's warranted because it's just been the story of the whole year, the inconsistency and Chip's just snarky stubbornness, and it's just I have to see a lot more out of him. And the fact that he put this team together, he brought all these guys in, completely flipped our team around. It's just really annoying, and I don't see, I just don't see a lot of wins on the horizon.
Yeah. Well, I just don't think we have that great of it. Our schedule's kind of easy, which is why, I think we can get to nine wins, but we'll see. But yesterday, man, that was a game we had no business losing. You can't let teams hang around. You can't do it. It was. The only difference between this and the Giants game, remember the Giants game? We're up 27-7, and we just kind of kept let them hang around. Well, we're up by 20 points in that game. This one, we weren't up by that many, and they just, just shot themselves in the foot. The little scoring, I have like a little scoring thing that I do, and in terms of my metrics, we won the game 95-89. Did we deserve to win the game? No, because you can't let a team like Miami hang around. But I don't know. Just I mean, we didn't play well, obviously, but I don't think things are as grim as Philadelphia Twitter has been today. We as a city, we tend to overreact at both losses and wins. When we lose, we're the worst team in the league. Fire Chip Kelly, all that stuff. When we win, all of a sudden we're going to the Super Bowl, and we're that type of fan base. And we'll see. Let's just let the season play out and see what happens. Like I said before, 2008 season. I feel the same way now as I did then, and everyone thought I was crazy when I said the Eagles were going to make the playoffs, and I'm saying the same thing now. I think we're going to win the NFC East.
Well, 2008, we had a head coach who played in a Super Bowl, won an NFC championship, went to multiple NFC championships, had a track record, obviously a better NFL coach than Chip Kelly right now. And we had a franchise quarterback back then. Don't have a franchise quarterback now. Had many more dynamite weapons on offense, and a good defense. It's just I've yet to see that from Chip Kelly. I mean, I hope you're right. I hope we go on a run, obviously, but I just not the way he's been calling these games, and the way it's just so annoying the way he acts in post game and in his news conferences
with what he was saying. We're like, oh well, we're not the only shitty team in the league. Like, he was just being so nonchalant about it. I do agree with you there. He was being a jackass at the podium today.
He's been a jackass a lot of the year, and
it actually was pretty bad. Like
yeah.
He's been a smart ass before, but today was like kind of uncalled for. Your team just lost to the freaking Miami Dolphins, a team that they fired their head coach mid-season. They come off like two awful losses, and that's how you act. So yeah, I didn't like it today. He acted like a little spoiled brat today. He acted like an 8-year-old kid, whose mom wouldn't give him $1 because he wanted a Milky Way or something. He acted like a child.
Yeah, and that's not the kind of guy I want coaching my team right now. And if, God forbid, we just tank and do horrible, and he takes a job in college, then the next guy up is left with. It might not, I think his job's saved this year. But say after next year, Chip Kelly's out of here. We don't end up winning with Chip Kelly, and then he leaves the next guy with a team that guy didn't want, and the team in shambles. I just, that's obviously the worst case scenario. But
you really don't like Chip Kelly, do you? Because I still love him. I think he's a good coach.
I don't think he's a great coach. I don't think he's a good NFL coach yet. I don't.
He won 20-12 his first 2 years.
That was. In those 20 wins, all the tapes out on those 20 wins. I think a lot of the NFL teams who are built with smart defense, smart coordinators, smart coaches are starting to predict his offense a little bit.
Well, he had 400 yards yesterday. He had 436 yards yesterday. I don't know. A lot of Fire Chip Kelly's shit has started on Twitter. God damn it, Jeremy, you're breaking my heart.
No, his job's safe after this year, no matter what. So I know that for a fact. We're not going to let him go after this year, unless he decides to just leave. But no, I think he's not going anywhere. He'll be here next year, no matter what. And then whatever happens, we got to see what happens the rest of this year and next year. Yeah. But yeah, I'm kind of over him a little bit. Yeah, he's really it's really getting old. All his antics and just his decisions, his game management. There's a lot of things, like, I don't know how many times I said to myself in my head yesterday, like, what was that? What are you doing? Why that? What, just a lot of and that's why we let the Dolphins hang in there, and that's why we lost. I think a lot of it came down to play calling and game management, and just Chip Kelly got outmatched.
I mean, I think part of yesterday was play calling, but I think it was mostly about the lack of execution along the offensive line and special teams. I think those were the two main things. Sure, I would have liked better play calling in terms of running more, perimeter-oriented runs because they were running it inside a lot. But you can't commit a holding penalty every drive. You can't have errant snaps from Jason Kelce. What was the one? They lost 24 yards on the one where I'm trying to remember what exactly happened. You remember the play where Miami had possession of the ball and we got it back, and then they
the double fumble.
Yeah, the double fumble.
That was ridiculous.
Do you remember? Wasn't it
Bradford lost it.
Oh,
they recovered it. Then they started running with it. Somebody tackled them. That guy lost it, and then I think Dennis Kelly hopped on it at the 3. And yeah, I mean, obviously, way too many mistakes. That the offensive line has to play better. Kelce has been a disappointment all year, and that's sad because he has a Pro Bowl caliber center in his first couple years, and it's just you can't play like that and expect to win games in the NFL. I don't care whether it's against a mediocre team. There's a lot of mediocre teams in the NFL this year. It's kind of a crazy year. There's 3 undefeated teams, and the rest are all. There's a couple above 500, but a lot are just hovering around that 500 middle of the pack range, and it's going to come down to the stretch whether we can get in the playoffs or not.
Yeah. Well, it's going to come down to beating the Giants week 17. That's basically
that's what it's going to come down to.
So you're saying 8-8, I'm saying 9-7, but it really doesn't matter because if they're 7-8 going into the week 17, or if they're 8-7, they got to beat New York. So you beat New York and you make the postseason. Just make sure you don't have any more of these, clunker games. So maybe it'll happen again, maybe not. But we'll see. Obviously, New England, that's a loss. No chance. We're going to lose by 4 touchdowns. It's going to happen. Arizona, probably most likely a loss, but, maybe they can win that game. If they can win that game, they're definitely 9-7 in my opinion. But those are the 2, and then that means you got to, beat everybody else. And I don't think any of those teams are particularly great, except for maybe Buffalo. Buffalo's pretty good, but you got them at home. So you have Tampa Bay at home, who just scored only 10 points against Dallas's offense or Dallas's defense. You got at Detroit. Obviously, Detroit, they're playing a little bit better. You just beat Green Bay. So that might be a little tough. We'll see what happens. Buffalo at home. You got Washington at home, and then you got the Giants. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, everyone said before the Miami game that, this 3-game stretch, we're gonna win all 3 games. I kind of thought we would lose 1. Didn't think it would be Miami. I kind of thought the Detroit game would be tough. So now we're kind of faced with the fact where these next 2 games, I think you have to win them both. Because, like you said, after these 2 games, we're going to New England, and that's a big fat L. So you can't lose one of these next 2 games, and then we would be 5-6 at that point, and then we go to New England. If that's a loss, then we're 5-7. That's kind of putting us in a hole and forcing us to really, like, the last quarter of the season, win mostly all those 4, if not 3 out of 4 would get us 8-8. So, those 2 games you highlighted, the Cardinals and New England, are the toughest ones on the schedule. But the way we've been playing, we've lost games we didn't expect to lose. Redskins, Dolphins, so any given Sunday, anything can happen. So, you're right. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, before Miami, I said we'd lose to New England, we'd lose to Arizona, and we'd have one more loss to a team that we don't expect to lose to. Hopefully, that was the one. But we'll see. I don't know. It's just what I saw the last 6 weeks. I don't think all of a sudden we're just back to being the week 2 team that we saw. I do think there's been improvements. I'm just hoping that yesterday the offensive line, it was just they just had a really bad game, and maybe they can get back to how they were playing the last 6 weeks. Because it's not a coincidence. When our offensive line plays well, we win. When they don't, we lose. So, I know we've talked about all the decisions that Chip Kelly has made during the offseason, but I think people are kind of digging into that just maybe a little bit too much. There is some merit behind it, but I think it's more our offensive line. It's not Maxwell. It's not Bradford. It's not Murray. It's not any of that. It is the offensive line. They simply need to play better. And like I said before, sure, you can blame Chip because he hasn't drafted an offensive lineman. But, when they play well, the O-line plays well. And it's as simple as that sometimes.
Yeah, when the offensive line plays well, the quarterback's protected, we're running the ball. That helps open up the passing game. And like you said, I do blame Chip for not drafting a lineman in the last 2 years for at least not even maybe a starter, but some better depth, a more quality offensive lineman for depth other than Dennis Kelly, who shouldn't be in the NFL, and the likes of Matt Tobin and Barber. So, yeah,
Tobin's
obviously
good this year, though. I like Tobin.
Tobin, I mean, he's
tough yesterday. He was really, really bad yesterday.
Whole offensive line was horrible yesterday. Tobin's been he's been okay. He's had his good games, his bad games, but no, yeah, Chip Kelly has to draft an offensive lineman, but he's just that ego. He's stubborn. He thinks he can just plug anybody in there. So obviously that doesn't work. And it showed yesterday with Jason Peters being out and their defensive line overtook our offensive line. We couldn't get anything going after the first quarter. And it's funny because in the first quarter, those big passing plays to like Brent Selleck and the touchdown to Josh Huff in the beginning, they were on those bootlegs, like you said. And that gets the quarterback away from the offensive line and that pressure. So, why didn't do more of that? I'm not sure, especially since our offensive line was getting dominated. But you gotta adapt to the game plan. You gotta adapt throughout the game, and Chip just has to do a more consistent job, consistent job of making better decisions and adapting to the game flow.
Well, that's something he normally does really, really well, is adjusting as the game goes on. We just, we didn't.
He's got to be consistent.
Yeah, we didn't say it yesterday. And another point I wanted to make about the offensive line, which is why I was so disappointed yesterday, is Miami's not a team that blitzes a lot. They're not going to disguise anything. They got their defensive line, and that's what it is. And we just didn't protect. We didn't protect our quarterback, and we didn't open up any running lanes. And this season, we've been a team that has protected Bradford pretty well. Since week 2, we've done a good job in pass protection. We're actually one of the better pass protecting teams in the league, but clearly we didn't see it yesterday.
No, yeah, that was actually probably the most heat Bradford has been under that I can remember all season.
Absolutely. He was actually doing a pretty good job of eluding the pressure in a lot of cases.
That's what was we got so high on that first quarter because I was saying, Bradford is, I was telling my family, like, he extended the play and really made it look good on that Josh Huff touchdown, and he just stopped calling those plays, and like you said, didn't make good running play calls. Ran right into the heart of their defense. It's just Chip Kelly's kind of all over the place, and you can't do that, and we're going to continue to lose if he doesn't fix this. And hopefully Jason Peters will help the offensive line next week and come back. He won't be at 100%, but I'll take him at 50% over Dennis Kelly. So, Dennis Kelly should not see the football field ever again. I don't think he is a third string offensive lineman, and that's where he should be.
All right. Before we sign off on the show, because I do want to make these shows a little bit shorter, we do have to talk about Caleb Sturgis. And to borrow a line from last week, it appeared to be a little bit too breezy for him in the second quarter when he missed the 32-yard field goal.
That was a pathetic kick. There you go. Good job. That was that was god awful. I mean, it was a low snap. Dornbos did not have the magic that he usually has. He is a magician on the side, so he didn't have the magic yesterday. It's a low snap, but still, I mean, that's an extra point length of field goal. It's inexcusable.
Point, I think. No, it's the same.
Yeah,
33.
The same. 15 plus 17. Yeah. Or 32. It was a 32-yarder that he missed. Yeah, it's inexcusable. And actually, that as bad as we played, if he made that field goal, technically we would have won by 2 points.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just horrible game all around.
Freaking Christ, man! All right, I guess we'll do final thoughts right now because we're about 50 minutes in. So, anything else you want to say before we get off?
It's just to, as Chip would say, you got to do a better job executing.
Oh, freaking Andy! You're gonna do an Andy spiel
and put the guys in a better position to make plays, Chip. Yeah. And just, I mean, you just got to put a better product on the field. You hype yourself up to be this offensive guru, but I'm just, I'm not seeing the consistency. If we go out and throw up a dud against Tampa Bay, then this season is absolutely in jeopardy, and that's a mess. So let's not have that happen, and let's get a good game plan going, and let's maintain the game plan and attack their weaknesses, because they did have the worst record in the league last year. They have a rookie quarterback. If we can't beat Tampa Bay, then I'm just done. They will rip I'm just tired of getting let down, man. Chip loves just pissing me off. He loves just taking my heart and tugging it out, spiking it like Zach Ertz's touchdown that didn't happen because of Riley Cooper. And yeah, you just got to win. You just got to start something. You got to get back on track.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for this show. You were able to vent and get off a lot of stuff off your chest. I thought it was a good show, though, because we kind of have some differentiating opinions. I'm a little bit more – see, the thing that our viewers, maybe they don't know, I am a lot more optimistic. I have a lot more optimistic of a mindset. You're just like you're just always waiting for that letdown, because we're used to being let down because we're Eagles fans. So – it's two good different points of views, and I hopefully you guys like the show today. So with that being said, Jeremy Burton, Mr. Muscles on top of muscles, I'm Adrian Fedque. We're out of here. Later.
See ya.